Ian, I
Thank
need
you,
to
Chairman. Sorry, Chairman of the Cabinet. Thank you.
Right. I think we've started.
You are streaming. Thank you, Chairman.
We are streaming the meeting live. So good evening, colleagues, and welcome to our October Cabinet. Any apologies for absence?
No, I don't have any apologies. Thank you.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest? The minutes of the last meeting have been circulated. Is there anything on page 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 is blank, but was part of the minute. So is it your wish that we approve those as a correct record?
Agreed.
Thank you. So our next agenda item is the chairman's announcements, of which I don't have any particular announcements at this stage. So item 5, guidelines on members' use of social media. Who's taking this one through? Andrew?
Well, essentially, the paper. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So you have before you some proposed guidelines with regards to members' use of social media. We're proposing that these are used because social media is obviously becoming more and more prominent, especially at the moment, I would suggest. And the main point here is that when you're a member, members of the public don't necessarily discriminate between when you're actually talking as a private individual and as a member. So you need to be ultra careful with regards to that. So we've drafted these guidelines for members' use, and they are recommended to you tonight. And I've also got a recommendation in there that will allow me to then circulate these, publish these, and circulate them to all members of the council. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments? Phil?
Yeah, yeah, Andrew, do they form part of the code of conduct or they just sit alongside it?
They'll sit alongside it. I've mentioned before the fact that there's a new code of conduct. Well, it's being consulted upon at the moment. We don't exactly know when it's going to be published. And obviously when that is published, then we'll look at that and see whether because the new code of conduct is actually going to pick up social media matters, and we'll see how it does that, and then look to see whether or not it should be integrated.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from anyone? Dermot?
Just to say how important it is to make it clear to members who are using social media or planning to study this most carefully. It's so many traps you can fall into it with all innocence and everything else, that it really is something that everyone must take most seriously. And particularly with an election coming up in the not far too distant future, you know, blood rises a little bit, and it's only too easy to say something, and once said it can't be taken back again. And I think we need to really, really treble underline this when it goes out to members.
Yeah, well, I think the important point is don't think that you can be Councillor X one day and Mr. and Mrs. Miss X the following day, or even the following sentence, that people will still see you as a councillor the whole time.
Chair, I think what would be helpful is when I send it out, if I put a pithy paragraph in there so that it really draws in members' attentions to why we've actually done it.
Yeah, it will be quite useful, but it seems on the face of it like common sense, but I know the old adage that common sense isn't that common. It's easy to get tripped up, but I think, as you said, Dermot, an awful lot of these things you inadvertently step over a tripwire and you don't realise you've upset the professionally offended.
Yeah, you're sitting in front of your computer, it's 10 o'clock at night, you've had 2 large glasses of red wine and somebody's just said something that upsets you. Need I say more?
Yeah. Well, indeed. Any other comments on this? Peter Holt, have you got anything to give us from a professional point of view? Other than just don't?
The wise words indeed. So the best way to avoid being in trouble is to use your good nous in the first place.
Okay. Right, anything else? So I'll move to the recommendations. And the recommendations are to approve the guidelines for members' use in social media and to ask the monitoring officer to publish and circulate the guidelines of members' use to all members of the council, along with this pithy paragraph. Are we agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. So we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is air quality monitoring report, which is a very full and meaty analysis of what's been going on. Dermot or Trevor, who wants to introduce this?
Well, I'll start and pass over to Trevor if that's okay.
All right, thanks, Dermot.
Yeah, I mean, this is more like a thesis than a report. It's wonderfully done, and congratulations to Julie Ewers and Catherine Rogers for the work they've put into this. Yeah, it is very, very important. Air quality is something that is hitting the headlines all the time now, and increasingly so. But it's also something important for us in other respects, and one of those is to highlight the problems in Towcester with the air quality there. While it's come down at the moment for reasons of probably COVID more than anything else, but also because vehicles are becoming cleaner, etc. But it still is a key point for getting the relief road put through. So I think it's something that we can highlight with that as well. But you know, it is okay, mainly focused on nitrous oxides or nitrogen oxides, but you know, it probably kills more people than COVID does in actual fact. So it's that important. That's all I'd like to say, and hand over to Trevor.
Trevor?
Thank you. Yeah, just apologise really for the length of the reports there, appendices anyway. I have put in a 1 page or 1 and a bit page summary in the air quality management plan right at the beginning. But the reason they are so long is because they're required by government, and like a lot of these things, there's a format that you have to follow in order to sort of tick the boxes for the government. So as Dermot said, I mean, it's largely a positive picture with levels of nitrogen oxides generally coming down right across the district. It's not in fact due to COVID or the road closure, because the data in the annual report is before COVID, and we took into account the road closure as well. So there is this general picture, and as Dermot says, I think it's probably largely due to improved technology in vehicles, because it's a trend that's wider than just ourselves. So the recommendations are to publish the revised report for consultation, and then bring it back to council for final endorsement.
Okay. Any other comments? Andrew, Grant?
Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot to be 2 Andrews on the call earlier.
Yeah, so did I as well. Yeah, I'll just Trevor, just really to pick up. It was interesting because yes, this is prior to COVID, when, for example, talking about Towcester. But what's actually quite interesting is that one of the benefits of Towcester is actually being able to move the traffic through the high street at a relative speed. And certainly, regardless of anything, that has been one of the biggest issues once you get the build up of traffic. And I don't know if you guys were aware, but there was at one point prior to COVID a group of people that decided that they would protest by pressing the zebra crossing, although the Pelican crossing, by the Bakers stroke the old HSBC Bank as a continual thing to stop the traffic. And obviously, bearing in mind our new regulations over that we've just agreed on social media, I decided that the best way of acting on that was to go and have a chat with them and basically point out that they were actually causing the problems, not actually relieving it. And I'm delighted to say that that did stop. And in fact, the more movement you can get through the high street, the better. The Highways Agency at one point wanted to have a ridiculous reducing of the mile-an-hour limit, which again is contrary to what the officers know. That the faster the speed, I don't mean 60 miles an hour or anything, but getting through there at 30 is actually one of the best things. So whilst we look forward to the Relief Road and all the improvements at the Brackley Road junction and everything else that's going to happen, hopefully in the not too distant future, it's certainly encouraging. Technology is changing, and we welcome that. But obviously, we do have an issue. But hopefully, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and maybe in the next couple of years, things will dramatically change. And certainly a commitment to the Relief Road and some physical work, and that starting, will be something that I think everybody that's been a member of our council for a number of years will welcome, and look forward to the minister arriving to officially opening it at some point in the not too distant future. But how distant, I don't know. But well done. It's a great report. Officers do a fantastic job. And it's something that when I was the portfolio holder, I used to enjoy going around and looking at where the bottles were placed and seeing the work that they actually do to actually undertake this. So I find it fascinating, and it's great to see some good improvements. So thank you, Chairman.
Anyone else? I think we just need to, on behalf of all Cabinet, to thank Julian, Rebecca, and the team for putting this together. I know that it's as much a passion of theirs as a job, and that certainly comes through in the most comprehensiveness of this report. The bit I find particularly interesting was that if you wanted to declare Towcester an air quality management centre today, it probably wouldn't meet the criteria, which in itself is a good thing, that the problem is diminishing. But I don't think any of us should be complacent in saying that we've now solved the problem. And that we still need the Relief Road, and we still need to do the things that we've been planning to do. So it's good news that it's not getting worse. That's really good. And it's also good news that the air quality in general is improving, probably in line with engine technologies and those sort of things improving too, and stop-start technologies that prevent cars from idling for long times when they are stationary. But it's by and large, I think we're going in the right direction. At least we're not going backwards. But I think our message needs to be: there's still no room for complacency, and we still want a more permanent solution in the form of the Relief Road and the other measures that we're well versed in, and we don't need to recite them here again tonight. Anybody else got anything to say on this? So I'll move the recommendations, which are to note the report, to agree that the Air Quality Action Plan is consulted upon and outlined as outlined in the report prior to consideration by full council, and to agree to delegate the drafting of the final report to Trevor and Dermot. Any spelling and minor errors that they managed to find, things of that nature. So are we all agreed? That's agreed. Thank you. So I think the last item is urgent business, of which none has been notified. So at 14 minutes past 6, I will close the meeting. Can we stop the live streaming, please?
Ian?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can
So
just
you're
hold
gonna
on
stay
for
on
20
after the
seconds so that we
YouTube
can,
bit?
so that the live streaming catches up with us.
Yeah.